Hey, this is a quick follow-up to the previous one. Go watch it. It's there in the doobly-doo, the YouTube thing. Wow. Okay, so I was planning to put this on online primarily for archival reasons. Thought maybe I'd get a comment saying something like, "This is stupid, and you're stupid, and you should feel stupid." Also, rubber bullets. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the support. I really enjoyed making this, so I thought, why not do more? Let me know what you want to see. More Yakuza content, more ranking the body counts of other characters so we can see who the biggest monster of all is. As an extension to that, I'm sorry this took so long. I've been busy, got a full-time job, playing some new stuff, some old stuff, some old new stuff, some new old stuff, some other stuff. Also, one other reason. Alright, so this is going to be a video in two halves. I just wanted to go over a few things I saw come up in the comments frequently first. Starting with an addendum to part 1. If you don't care about that and want to get to me talking about Majima or whatever, just go to this timestamp. First of all, I got a fair few comments that I missed one. Kiryu killed this guy, Kiryu's fault this guy died, that kind of thing. A surprising amount of people making sure to let me know I missed the man that was shot in the empty lot at the start of Yakuza 0. You know, the catalyst for the game's plot, the fact that Kiryu actually did a murder and then decided to run around denying it until everyone just kind of forgot. It does make me wonder if the people correcting me have played the game or just hoping to get some, some of that sweet Reddit karma. No matter, I'm sticking with my guns and everything I said before. Like, people saying that my choices for indirect kills are unfair. Yeah, that was kind of the point. These deaths that can be reasonably blamed on Kiryu by a jury of myself and 11 clones. That's why I split the counts up. If you don't think my criteria for indirect kills are fair, feel free to ignore it, and I won't hold it against you. Some people called me out for saying Ryuji died, and I mean, I guess there was reasonable doubt? Kind of?
I only did this. That doesn't mean a person is dead.
No, show me the receipts. Where is he? I don't care about Yakuza Online. I'm not going to accept Dead Souls as canon. Oh, actually, I should look into getting a copy of Dead Souls so I can actually add it to this.
Jesus Christ!
So, despite me not removing any of my decisions, I am actually going to make one addition. Several comments brought up the fact that Jun-gi-han was only shot due to Kiryu's direct intervention. Originally I thought likely he would have died anyway, but no, looking into the how and the why, you all make very good points. So, let's update Kiryu's tracker. One more indirect kill for Jun-gi-han. He just can't stop, can he? A lot of people mentioned that sub-stories are canon, and yes, I concede, they are canon. But I stand by not including them, because despite them being canon, they are still optional. I'm going to skip them, as doing every single sub-story in this many games would take a lot longer than it already has. And I may be misremembering, but I don't remember Kiryu decapitating Mr. Try and Hit Me at any point, so I don't think the total would change very much. A few people made mention of me playing the remakes instead of the originals. And yeah, I guess that is a fair comment. I did have a few reasons though. First of all, I wanted a semi-consistent style throughout, and despite graphical upgrades, the characters' appearances are far more consistent after 3. Additionally, while I do own the PS2 versions, the thought of playing through Yakuza again, and hearing the voices, and having to fight the camera, I don't know, it just didn't sound like a lot of fun. Also, I only have this copy of 2 as well, and I'd rather the language and the text be consistent. Unless there are no other options, of course.
Foreshadowing as a narrative.
Next, I got a lot of I missed Gaiden comments, despite the fact that I said I was finishing at 6, because it's when Kiryu died. I have a far better explanation. Basically, So, let's get right into it. How many people has Pajama Sam actually killed? The answer may shock you. Always just using drones, regardless the other thing about guidance. Now this is entirely dependent on how we classify nobodies. A nobody is technically its own being, separate from its original sense. So is killing a nobody actually killing someone? Because But we'll talk about Mr. Joryu later, so don't you worry. Lastly, a few people were a little confused by me placing Tony Hawk Underground in the spin-off category in the first part, leading to a few people questioning why I listed Thug as a Yakuza spin-off. The answer is simple. I do consider it a spin-off. While it is reasonable to think of it as the next mainline title, Thug really altered the core gameplay loop. It wasn't just about completing challenges and getting points as quickly as possible anymore. It was an adventure now. The mission structure from Pro Skater 4 was, in my opinion, pretty masterfully expanded into a proper story mode. The stages didn't feel like big skate parks with a veneer of familiarity anymore, they felt like real locations. Sometimes you have to get a bit creative on exactly where to pull off some tricks, sure, and I like sports movies. You know, following the story of an amateur who slowly makes his way to the big leagues. Pretty appealing to follow. So yeah, spin-off. The game proper starts in Jersey. New Jersey? Jersey? Jersey. Anyway, Chad Muska is going to be in the area, and we're informed by this gent, who is sure to be a steadfast friend throughout. Before we can impress him with our assorted ollies, we get to make a character. I remember being really excited as a kid. Look, it's me! I'm in the game. I can do a kickflip. And yeah, I'm still pretty into it now. It really adds a level of personalization that playing as whoever this guy is doesn't really capture. You really get the feeling of being on an adventure, a skating adventure. The addition of improving your stats by doing them instead of just grabbing these tic-tacs helps sell it as well, in my opinion. You're actually progressing and getting better. Jersey is more of an extended tutorial than a real skate park, but I think it does that well. It doesn't carry you throughout the basic controls, but it still makes sure you can do them. Each early mission represents learning a core mechanic for the rest of the game, and the series as a whole. Street tricks, vert tricks, reverts, combos, and walking. Yeah, they added walking to this one. It's not quite as exciting as the infinite combo machine, but it has more utility than you think at first. Least of all, it accelerates you to near hedgehog levels of velocity. Its real use... Wait, hold on, what were we talking about? Right, Yakuza. Anyway, a few people called me out on getting Mechagodzilla mixed up with Mechagodzilla. I'm going to admit I felt confident in my memory that I opted not to double-check this one. Sorry about that. But, enough of that. Let's talk murder. I'm never going to get ads on these, am I? So, Kiryu is the main character of the series, but he's not the only main character. Starting in Yakuza 4, we got many other genetic freaks to destroy bikes and skulls with, and similarly, they're all noble chaps that don't do much killing. Or are they? As you've already seen part 1, the criteria is going to be the same, but I'll pop it here quickly, just in case you're new or forgetful. So, let's talk about... Wait, no, let's talk about Kiryu more.
What'd you do with Kairi? She's part of the darkness now. She doesn't need the light. You're a nobody!
Yakuza 7 has very little Kiryu involvement. He has little to no agency in the story, which is fine, because he's not the main character anymore. He barely appears, and has no time to indulge his bloodlust, so moving swiftly on to... You'd think dying would put a bit of perspective into Kiryu's head and give him a new lease on his violent tendencies, but...
But who am I kidding? I was born to kill!
Kiryu and Kasuga both push Roman to get them into District 5, causing him to die of getting stabbed. One indirect kill. Narasaki tries to shoot Kiryu with a minigun, and Kiryu dives behind 2 Seiryu clan members, causing them to be shot to pieces. 2 indirect kills. Kiryu throws a grenade into a helicopter, causing it to explode and crash, killing at least 2, maybe more.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
So, at the end of Kiryu's life, he manages to fit in another 3 indirect and 2 direct kills. And I'm sure that's where the count will stay as Kiryu's final adventure.
You can't keep getting away with it!
He'll be back soon. But that's enough about Kiryu. Let's get into the first challenger for Kiryu's crown. While not playable as early in the series as some others, Goro Majima has been there since the beginning. Positioned as a violent, unhinged embodiment of the dark side of the Yakuza, Majima developed from a rival with Kiryu to a mentorship and genuine friendship down the line. You're watching a Yakuza video, I don't need to explain who Maja is to you, you know his deal. He's violent, he's cool, he has an eye patch, he wears a snakeskin jacket to express his individuality and his belief in personal freedom. He's kind of inconsistent.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that are interesting about him.
But most importantly, he's a fan favourite. And violent. So violent, in fact, that he'll call Kiryu out for not giving his clanmates a good drubbing. So, let's discuss exactly how many people the Mad Dog of Shimano has thrown down. Okay, so Majima has been in every mainline game, but he's been in them a lot less than Kiryu, for obvious reasons. So I'm just going to go in release order. Rather than dividing them up by game, every character is going to be its own chapter. Without much further ado, let's get started. So, Majima is heavily implied to have killed people, including his own subordinates in the past. But as we don't see this happen, let's assume those are all just wacky misunderstandings. Likewise, later it's implied that he's fought in the Colosseum death matches, but only implied, so we can't really count that. So we'll start with a clean slate. Starting with Yakuza, before the boss fight in the batting cages, Majima beats one of his goons with a bat. He does it pretty excessively, and we don't see that guy move a muscle after this. So I'm going to assume he's dead. 1 direct kill. While we don't see anyone get hit, he does drive a truck into Shangri-La. Maybe killing someone? No proof, but I am going to fine him for endangerment. Similar to this moment in 3 where he drives a truck through a crowd. He doesn't hit anyone that you see, but he could have. No, I'm grasping here. Majima is pretty light for most of this series. It's a bit opposed to what we're supposed to think about him. In Yakuza 4, Majima is fully intending on going and killing 20 members of the Ueno Seiwa clan, but he gets preoccupied. He beats all of these thugs up, but as far as I can tell they're all still breathing. So his attempted murder doesn't count. Majima seems to have been pretty overhyped as a horrible murderer. Majima isn't really in 5 or 6, but is of course a main player in Yakuza 0, and more screen time means more opportunity. Due to Majima's actions and decisions, this guy ends up stabbed with a crowbar after selling Majima out. 1 indirect kill. Likewise, Lee gets car bombed before Majima and Makoto can get in the vehicle for similar reasons. 1 indirect kill. This guy's sent to kill Majima in prison, and in the process he kills both Billiken and Nishitani. We don't see what happens to him, so with no confirmation, Majima's got 2 more indirect kills. Due to giving Shimano a gun and telling him what's what, he decides to shoot this Omi chap right in the head. 1 indirect kill. And due to his involvement and failure, as well as Majima's actions, Sagawa is killed as well. 1 indirect kill. Majima ends his first protagonist role with 6 deaths caused by his actions, which I'm surprised by. Honestly, was expecting a break in that whole Majima isn't a killer thing set up by Zero, but his hands did remain clean for the most part. Majima's next role was at the end of 7, where he kills 3 innocent Thais while defending Watase at the big Yakuza press conference. Then in Gaiden, we see Majima kill those same 3 Thais, but in a new engine. Shortly after that, we see him slice a thug with his knife. That's it. That's it right there. After 18 years and 8 mainline games, Majima has finally stabbed someone with his famous knife, the Majima knife. I suppose it's always just been a gameplay knife, but I can't wait to see him use his Shadow Clone Jutsu in a cutscene. Anyway, 1 direct kill. Finally, in Infinite Wealth, while backing up Kiryu at Millennium Tower, Majima slices a thug over here, and then stabs another. 2 direct kills. Based on the glee he feels, I really doubt this is his second ever time stabbing someone, but as we don't have any evidence, I'm gonna have to throw the case out. So, as we summarize Kiryu's more violent and evil mirror, we get a grand total of 4 murders with 6 deaths caused by his actions. Clearly, publicity is half the battle, because Kiryu's body count makes him look a bit pathetic, my goodness. But hey, we'll give him one thing he does better than Kiryu. At least he's enjoying himself. While Majima was a long time coming, Yakuza 4 introduced a whole set of Yakuzis to take part in the increasingly convoluted events of the series. We're going to start with the Mr. Beast of Kamurocho, and on-again, off-again hobo, Shun Akiyama.
Let's take it down. You're too slow, you're too slow, you're too slow. Come on, step it up. You're too slow, you're too slow, you're too slow. Come on, step it up.
The rest of the playable casts have appeared less than Majima, so there's not quite as much for each of them, but they each have their own share of carnage, so let's quickly get to it. While chatting on the roof, Akiyama and Kiddo get attacked by 6 thugs. In this fight, you have the ability to throw them off the roof as heat moves, and afterwards, 5 thugs are on the roof. We can easily deduce that Akiyama must have thrown one of these guys off of a 4th story rooftop. 1 direct kill. We've already talked about Munakata here, everyone's to blame, so this is going on Akiyama's record as well. He's the one that got shot as well, he really should have been a little aware. 1 indirect kill.
Was I influential? Yeah, you were influential. You had like seven blogs. Tight.
In Yakuza 5, Akiyama doesn't show up until the latter half of the game, and half of his chapter is devoted to dance battles. But he still has a chance to get a couple in. While running through this construction yard, Akiyama triggers this wrecking ball, and after dodging it, it hits the... Jesus Christ, oh my god! This guy's just got obliterated. Wow. Yeah, 2 indirect kills. Right, another one we spoke about before. Some explanation. Akiyama kicks this guy into shooting someone and getting shot. 2 direct kills. Akiyama is probably the least criminal of our cast, unless you count working for a bank. So it makes sense that he only has 3 direct kills and 3 indirect kills. Moving past Akiyama, the second character introduced is the man killer and general ball enthusiast, Taiga Saejima. Before we even start playing, Saejima sets it in motion with a whopping 18 kills in a flashback, in which he shoots several important figures in the Ueno Seo clan. Right, oh, okay, it seems that didn't happen. The difficulty here is determining if Saejima is to blame at all. Yes, he wasn't the murderer, but Katsuragi planned this whole situation, and wouldn't have pulled it off had Saejima not attacked. But honestly, Saejima left, and then Katsuragi shot 18 guys in the face. I think we can safely say Saejima was just a pawn here, and can't actually be blamed for what happened. Katsuragi would have found a way with or without him. Likewise, he was just a player in Hamazaki's plans, and anything that happened to Hamazaki was entirely on him. Besides that, Saejima gets partial blame for Katsuragi, Yasuko, and Munakata, just like the others. So despite being introed as a murderer, Saejima kept it pretty clean in 4. But don't worry, we start off 5 with yet another prison break. Right off the bat, while it is being slightly manipulated, this escape attempt is entirely on Saejima. After this, during the fight, Saejima pulls this massive pipe off the wall and swings it through a crowd. These guys just kind of get knocked over, but my god, look at that man's skull. He is not getting back up after that one, ever. That's a direct kill. Baldy goes to shoot Saejima, and Saejima makes no attempt to get out of the way or to prevent this, causing Homura to shoot Baldy. 1 indirect kill. In the mountains after the escape, Saejima shoots a deer in the hunting tutorial. 1 direct kill. Now, I'm sure some people are thinking, a deer isn't a person. And well, yes, I suppose that's technically true. It is still a life that Saejima has taken. I'm not going to debate where you draw the line in what constitutes an animal and an NPC, so I am going to count it. You know, if Ash shot Psyduck in the face, I'd count that. It's all about perspective. Anyway, after kidnapping Kitsukawa and getting him to talk, as well as putting him in prime assassination position, he is silenced by Skinny Boy. 1 indirect kill.
Hey there, Editing Jones here. My vocal cords have currently been coughed out of my body, which is why I sound like this. Kitakata did not die. Somehow. Also, his name isn't Kitakata. I assume, when I wrote it I was thinking about Kit Kats and thought yeah, that's not his name. Anyway, I have cut out a good 4 people from 5, because I thought for sure they died and then double checked, but this one snuck its way through to the very end. Sorry.
Saejima does later fire a rocket launcher at a helicopter, in a bit of a 6 reference, but as he lacks Kiryu's killer instinct, he misses completely. The rocket probably flew into the heart of Kamurocho and blew up an orphanage or Yuyo or something, but with no confirmation or evidence, we have to drop that charge. The 18-man killer and death row inmate ends his tenure in the series with 2 direct kills and 6 deaths caused by his actions. Death row was probably too harsh considering how many times Kiryu has been released from jail, but hey, he's doing alright now. I think. Anyway, enough about that. Our next character is a one-hit wonder, the man who erased his face, Masayoshi Tanimura. Tanimura has a very minor appearance in the series as a whole for various reasons, but he gets through a few of them in his time. While fighting through a container yard, Tanimura beats up 5 guys and leaves them lying in oil. Shortly after this, a goon lights said oil, incinerating everything, including those 5 enemies. 5 indirect kills. During the fight at the end of the container yard, Tanimura grabs this guy and holds him in front of a gunman as a human shield, before throwing a katana through the gunman like a badass. Despite this being one of the coolest fight enders in the series, it is also 2 direct kills. After this, Mishima and Sugiuchi both get shot due to Tanimura interrogating them. 2 indirect kills. And finally, he gets part of the blame from Nakata. Possibly more blame than the others. He's the authority figure here. In his one appearance, Tanimura kills 2 people and causes the death of 7 others, before hiding away from the authorities to get up to something. Anyway, that ends the forecast. Moving on to the new characters introduced in 5, we start with a long-time series regular, Haruka Sawamura. It is heavily implied that T-Set died of their injuries from the Princess League final. What do you want me to say? Haruka's clean. Well, you can kind of loosely connect her to several character deaths. She wasn't directly involved with any of them, except maybe Yumi, but that only happens due to Kiryu. So, Haruka can remain a bastion of purity and blandness in her later years. But enough about that. Let's talk about the original Walking Erection, and actually best character in the series, Tatsuo Shinada. Shinada is another one-and-done character, but in his time he gets into a couple of scrapes. Shinada gets this shifty man crushed for talking. Or someone tried to crush Shinada and missed. Either way, it's one indirect kill. After this, someone definitely tries to crush Shinada, and Sakai pushes him out the way, getting crushed in the process. One indirect kill. At the end of our main cast ranking, Shinada only has 2 indirect kills, which is remarkably low for a professional athlete, but still worth mentioning. But wait, there's more. We have a new player in this game. In Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, we are introduced to Jazama Joryu, the murder hobo known for his classic catchphrase, "If they ain't Joryu, they gotta go Ryu." While Spidey swinging through the castle, Joryu shoots 3 goons to death while sliding down a ramp. 3 direct kills. Afterwards, Joryu throws Majima his knife, enabling him to kill this guy. Remember him? 1 indirect kill. Despite Joryu existing for all of 15 minutes, he winds up with 3 kills, 1 indirect. But for ease of visuals, let's just add those to Kiryu's totals. There we go, that's convenient. Okay guys, I have to be honest, I'm gonna have to breeze past Kasuga and his gang of frenemies. I tried, but compared to the rest of the series, this is a lot longer. I ended up having to go through about 60 hours of footage, and as far as I can tell, besides the arguable cause of death for Roman, I think the only death they explicitly cause is the driver of this truck. For now, I'll give the Kasuga score 2 indirect and be done with it. I doubt anyone's going to watch a whole nother episode of me going, yeah, this guy died, and then that's the end of it. But let's take a break from the main series and talk about spin-offs. I don't have a PSP, but I do have a fist of the North Star. I'm sorry, I don't own the Kenshiro. But as I said before, if Kamaki's in Lost Paradise, then I guess it's canon. So, let's say your goodbyes, Lord Ass, because you already did. After a quick flash forward, or flash back, sideways? Lost Paradise starts with Kenshiro arriving at a huge walled city, where he gets involved in a couple of... Hold up. Wait, does every single basic enemy Kenshiro fights die? No matter what? So every minor scrap he gets into involves multiple murders? Oh. Okay, no, this one is going to take some time to actually determine how many people die in Lost Paradise if I need to count every mook. Sorry, this one is going on the drawing board. Okay, now, we have our ranking. Here we go. Would you look at that? All in all, this has been quite the experience. And I think I'll try and keep making stuff. I've had some scripts in the works for a while, but I don't know how much we need another vaguely British video essayist. I think I will continue things like this, maybe try another kill count and the like. It'll be an interesting genre, perhaps. I do have another in the works based off of a comment, so hopefully that gets done faster. But hey, if you want to see any of those, or just anything else from me, let me know. I've had a bad year, but I'm doing better, and we'll probably keep this up as a hobby, so ideas would be nice. All in all, I want to be able to make what I feel like, and will likely return to Yakuza in the future, but for now I'm going to put Kiryu to bed. Actually, there'll be a slight conclusion / side story video to this initial two-parter. It will be a lot quicker, a lot less focused. Hopefully it goes well. Expect it in mid-November or so. This video took a lot longer than expected. Why else did it take longer than expected? One guy wanted me to upload a full LP of Infinite Wealth. I forgot to record that. I guess I'll give a quick one. Hey, that was pretty good. It took me like a decade to finish. Alright, what's next? I did not enjoy the second half of Infinite Wealth. Gameplay improvements were good compared to 7. It felt better in some ways, not better in a few. Poundmates, they were a little disappointing, besides a few standouts. I mean, being able to move around was nice. Positioning-based team attacks was very useful, and being able to see the AoE marker is nice. But none of these are real gameplay improvements, they're just additions or minor changes. In Yakuza 7, I had learned what the areas of attacks were by the end of it, because I had to. Knowing them off the bat may be convenient, but it doesn't make enemies not randomly wander away, or allies step away from you healing them at the last moment. I enjoyed the gameplay, but I really feel more could have been done. Maybe a Chrono Trigger styled freeze everyone's positions when you open the menu. I don't know, I'm not a game designer. It was far too easy though, I never really struggled besides one specific fight. Regardless of gameplay quality, unfortunately narratively I can't say the same. The plot was kind of there in theory, less so in execution. Neither Kiryu nor Kasuga felt like a lead, they both really felt like they were doing side stories to pad time for someone else's main story that we didn't get to see most of. Kind of getting thrown from place to place with little agency outside of a couple of scenes. The main villain of Bryce got kind of Xehanort level towards the end. He shows up once, seems like a nice dude, maybe a little intimidating. And then we hear he's a bad guy, and despite not seeing him do any bad stuff, the cast now acts like they've watched him killing the younglings. Only Bryce would be so sadistic to do this. My dude, you have met him once. Unfortunately, tone-wise, it's just a bit too silly for me. Gondowara was a standout in the series, despite him only appearing in Yakuza 2, because of how out of place it was. And him returning not only in 7 but 8 as well is kind of telling of their tonal priorities. The series has always been goofy, but never quite to this degree. The abilities are honestly just a little too much for me this time around. I do enjoy some regardless of that, don't get me wrong. This one's my personal favourite. For some reason? Eh. As much as I disliked Kiryu's inclusion on principle, I did enjoy spending more time with him, reasons aside. The Memento system made me legitimately nostalgic and wistful for a series I've been a fan of for about half of my life. Clearly a lot of love shown for the series and for Kiryu. Some of the moments were done pretty tastefully, some kind of made me mad. I'd rank it misguided out of 10. If you loved 7's gameplay, you'll love 8's more. Narrative and sub-stories, not so much. Forgive me if this sounds elitist, but if you've only played or watched 7, then you'll probably enjoy it a lot more than I did. If I had to rank it, I'd put it here. I do wish I could put it higher, but having to play through a game that is not compelling you to come back and find out what happens next is a real killer for pacing. Please don't cancel me for my opinions.
It's just my opinion, though. There's really no need to go spreading it around.
By the way, the only game on this list I don't think is great is Gaiden. I'd rate that about a 6 out of 10. Look, if I play a game long enough to put it on a tier list, it probably means I enjoy it on some level.
I don't like
video games.
I love it. If I don't love it, I don't.
Complete.
I do wonder why it's called Infinite Wealth, though. Probably a decision by pool marketing. Hey, the other two really popular in the West ones were very money-focused, so let's pretend this one is too. Bada bing. Yeah, hey, there's the high roller. Again, thank you for the support for the first video. I was shocked, literally had my grandparents tell me they'd seen it somehow. I'm assuming no other videos are hitting that level, but still, crazy. Like I said, I'll keep making things. I am new to writing, and will probably suck at any kind of legitimate critique until I get the hang of things, so please bully me into being a better creator.
What the fuck is this?